Welcome to class. My name is Patricia. Today's class, we will do a nice relaxing class using blankets or a bolster if you have it, or pillows and perhaps some blocks. So get comfortable, collect some of the things, and we're gonna really just relax into some of these postures. So let's begin on our back. So if you have a bolster, or you can roll up some blankets, or you can take lots and lots of pillows, you're gonna bring it right kind of by the hips or by your sacrum. And an option is to prop yourself a little higher. So if you want to, you can stay down here to begin. Or if you prefer to be a little bit higher, it's like a modified seated pose. You can bring some of the blocks underneath. And really, this class is more like a building with a Lego class. So you can build whatever structures you need to really help you get comfortable. So once you have a nice comfortable kind of position that you're able to stay in, we're going to stay a little longer in these poses today. So make sure that you're comfortable. So sitting back, laying back on your bolster option, the legs can be straight, arms to the side, and just let the tips of the shoulders fall to the side. Taking deep breaths here, just relax. If you prefer to bring the soles of the feet together, you're always welcome to do so, and maybe even bringing something under the knees to support them so they're not hovering. Wherever you are, just try to settle. And begin to feel that the breath right away gets deeper. And you start to easily be able to access the places that normally may be constricted when we're sitting or moving around in our day. So today's class is really about letting go of our need to hold into a position rather than surrendering into the help of these props. Just to let ourselves lose a little bit of that tension that we may be carrying. So feel that the belly is soft. The tips of the shoulders are sinking towards the floor. The chest broadens. And you begin to breathe into the belly. And breathe out. So just take this moment to scan the body. Notice anything that you've been carrying. It's a time to just acknowledge tension, stresses, whatever that's been going on. And you don't need to do anything. And just watch. Just take a couple more breaths here. Really breathing into any parts that need a bit of attention. Let's take one more breath here together. Inhale. And clear it out. Take your time, bending the knees, sole of the feet to the floor. And always moving nice and slow this practice. Send your hips over to the left side, knees over to the right. Roll over towards your right side, left hand to the floor. And take a moment just to kind of take down your structure for a bit. You're going to come onto your back. So coming onto your back for just a moment. Shavasana. Just allow the body to come into this position. From here, you're going to walk your feet over to the left side, left corner of your mat, maybe crossing that right ankle over the left. Extend the arms over the head, and again, reach your arms also over to the left side of your mat. Option, the left hand can grab the right wrist and stretch, side bend. Doing one more full breath in. Exhale to release, arms down to the side. Open the legs, this time the legs over to the right side. Left ankle can cross over the right. You might stay, or the arms become over the head. Option, the right hand's gonna grab the right wrist over to the right corner of your mat. Stretch your legs, stretch your arms, send your left hip over to the left, or at least it feels like it is. So this practice today isn't necessarily about big movements, more about being able to notice the movements even when there's stillness, movement of the breath, the little parts of the body. Release, bend your knees. Go ahead and roll over to the right side, send your hips over to the left, roll to the right. You might even pause here for just a moment. When you're ready, come all the way up. So coming on to a little child's pose or a puppy pose. Take your bolster or take your pillow. And then option, the knees can be wide. And you can bring your big toes together and sit onto your heels in like a wide hero pose here. Adjust as you need to. And again, if you need more props, you can prop yourself up even higher. Otherwise, you can come onto your belly and adjust as you need. You might bring that a little bit closer between your thighs to support your belly a little bit more. You can reach the hands forward. You know, to put one ear to the bolster. Just relax here. It's a nice stretch onto the neck. Send your hips back, sink, lengthen down. Close the eyes. Just allow yourself to rest. Relaxing the shoulders. Draw them down away from your cheek. Let's switch sides. So bring the opposite side of your face, your right cheek onto the bolster. And again, just allow yourself to rest, relax there. Breathe into the neck. This might be a lot on the neck, so really take your time working your way into a position where you can stay. And again, in this practice, if you want to stay longer, always welcome to pause the video, stay a little bit longer. And some days, we only may need a few poses in our body and spend a little bit more time there. Let's take a few more breaths here. When you're ready, return. Keeping the bolster where it is, come onto all fours. And walk the legs back a little bit. So we're going to come into a downward facing dog for just a moment. Option, we're going to try to bring our head to the bolster for a little support. So come into your downward facing dog. Your feet may be as wide as your hips. Bend your legs as much as you need to. If you can, you can take your forehead to the bolster, or if it doesn't make it there, then maybe you want a little block. And just bring your head, your forehead there, and relax. Just allowing the head to connect to either your bolster or your block. A little support for the neck. You can pedal up the feet if you'd like. Take one more breath here. And let's relax, come back, release, lower the knees, remove the blocks. So let's come into some modified back bends. So taking your bolster or your blanket, you're going to bring it onto kind of where your hip bones are, where they kind of protrude about that. So bringing that there, but the pubic bone is still towards the floor, so just above that, just to allow some support. Point your toes back option, hands to the corners of your mat, claw the mat. You might stay here, or if you want to be a bit more neutral and more of a detoxifying pose, you can come onto your elbows or even stack the palms and bring the forehead to your palms. And this is just more of a detoxifying pose to bring a little bit of pressure into the abs. Working anything that may be in the front of the body. So take a moment here, kind of find one that serves you today. Every day is slightly different. And you might even adjust and move into a couple as you go along. If you're more in the cobra, then what will happen is your legs will probably slide back a little bit. And the tailbone moves towards the floor as you lift your heart. You're going to feel very rooted in the lower body, and very light at the upper body. If you are resting on the bolster, the palms stacked, then you may be rolling forward a little bit more. So just adjust as you need to get into a place where you're feeling a little bit of sensation. Then you can pause there and breathe into those sensations in the body. Take another full breath in and full breath out. And together, coming to a little cobra pose together, hands underneath the shoulders, and just straighten the arms. Maybe almost all the way open up. Relax your shoulders and tuck the toes. Hands closer to your bolsters, push up. Sit back, hands on the bolster, relax. So coming into going into the hips a little bit. So taking your bolster, extending the legs, send your right leg out. The left leg can either be like in a tree pose, or you can bring it back behind you where your heel is outside of your left hip. Like a hero's pose, or like that wide leg child's pose that you took before. So option blocks or props, and you're gonna listen to your body. You can take it outside of your right thigh. You can take that left arm over the head. Or if you prefer, you can take it inside. And you rest here. The right hand can even kind of rest onto that left opposite thigh as you rest your shoulder on the bolster. And then maybe reach for the opposite foot with the left hand. So adjust as you need. Move the bolster around to a place where it's supporting you in your practice. And even have it kind of almost on your leg, resting your shoulder. This one is kind of my favorite, where you can rest your shoulder on the bolster. So you're kind of like resting your bolster onto your right leg, right thigh. And you don't have to grab the foot. Maybe you have a block. And maybe the hand can kind of rest or gently press onto the block so that you can really lengthen that left side of the body. So staying here. And again, if it's too much for the neck, just build yourself a structure that allows you to stay in this pose and really feel the benefits of this side stretch. And the right leg is still slightly active, so you're still trying to press that right thigh down. There should be no pain. Pause, hold, and if it's too much for that shoulder, you can kind of let it down too. Or just move around with it if you have anything that's stuck in the shoulder. Hold steady. Long, easy breaths. Let's take one more full breath in. You can lean back. Full breath out. Slowly left hand to the front of your body. Push down. Return. Come back. And switch sides. Take your props. Take it to the other side. Extend that left leg. Take the right leg either like a tree pose, sole of the right foot into your thigh, or take it behind you, heel outside of your hip. So again, listening to your body. Maybe the bolster's outside of your thigh, and you can even rest here, side bending. Or if you went for that little deeper expression, option inside the leg, and take it kind of onto your thigh, and then you're gonna rest your left shoulder onto that bolster. Option, get a nice prop to prop up your head. Left hand can reach for that right thigh, right arm can reach across over to your left leg, or even just have it here, hanging, opening. So adjust your prop as you need so that there's not too much tension in the shoulder to carry and keep that head there. Your head can get very heavy in a lot of the poses. So allow something to take the weight off the head, off the neck. And you move around the upper arm again. Hold steady. If you don't have a block for your head, you can also just cradle, use your hand so that you can look up. Pausing here for a few more breaths here. And making sure that you're pressing your left thigh down. Take one more full breath in, extend to your right fingertips. Breathe through the right side of the body. So they reach that right arm forward in front of you. Push into your right fingertips. Slowly come back up. And back. Extend the legs. So a couple of options here. Working the hips. Depending on how your hips feel, you may choose a different pose. So option is butterfly pose, soles of the feet together. You can bring a bolster in front of you, and you can rest here. If you need, prop block here. So you can rest there, head on. Or if you prefer pigeon pose, you can take a pigeon pose instead. So pigeon pose, extend the leg back like you usually would. Left leg is forward. Left heel is close to your outer right hip. And again, from here, you can either bring your elbows here onto the bolster or begin to release down, trying to square yourself as much as possible to the front part of your mat. And just releasing here. But if this is too much for that knee, then instead you can practice Baddha Konasana. So coming here, Support the knees. So if you're going into again, prop yourself up, get yourself ready. If you're going into pigeon pose, then we're gonna go 10 breaths each side on pigeon pose. If you're gonna go for this Baddha Konasana, you're gonna stay there for the full 20 breaths. So if you're setting up in Baddha Konasana, I'm gonna show you both one more time. You can take blocks or pillows underneath the knees and maybe even your ankles if your ankles are sensitive and they're being pushed into the ground. Take the bolster between you, or option, you can even take it a little wider so the bolster is between your feet. It's a little bit deeper, and rest. So resting there in butterfly pose, Baddha Konasana. Those of you going there, go ahead. Start your 20 seconds or 20 breaths. Those of us going into pigeon pose, take the bolster in front of you. And we're coming down dog if you prefer. Left knee to the left wrist. Walk the right foot back. Again, check to see no pain in that left knee joint. If you do, you might even want to prop yourself up. This is okay. Point your right toes back. Take your elbows onto your bolster. Maybe the head. So staying there wherever you are. Just be in that pose. So be it to stop the larger movements of the body so that we can start going a little deeper into the deeper layers of the postures. Taking a couple more breaths here. If you're in a pigeon pose, you slowly take your time to switch sides. Those of you in butterfly, you can stay right knee to the right wrist if you're going to pigeon. Left knee is back and straight. And point your left toes back. And when you're ready, elbows to the bolster, pigeon pose. Trying to relax the shoulders away from the ears, so lengthening the neck. And to get a more neutral neck, you can start to look down. Option to relax your head onto your bolster. Hold steady, 10 breaths. I'm going to give you one last option for the ones that are in Baddha Konasana. And if there's a lot of tension that's starting to happen, instead just straighten the legs. And you can bring the bolster to your thighs and just be here for a moment instead. There's a lot of ways to adjust your practice. These four folds are working your hips, but as well just allowing you to bring that awareness back inside. So modify as you need and stay there for a few more breaths. Whether you're in pigeon pose, butterfly pose, or in this forward folded, just stay focused on that breath. Bring that awareness inside. Taking 2 more breaths there. Nice, easy, soft breath. And then begin to bring a little bit of movement back. Pressing yourself back up. Bolster to the side. And sit up. Bend your knees, feet as wide as your mat. Just windshield wipe the legs a little bit, nice and slow. I'm going to do one more posture with our bolster before we come back to our original position in the beginning. So our last one is a back bend, a heart opener. You're going to do hero's pose. Again, prop yourself up as much as you need to. So you may need to prop yourself as you did in the beginning, a little bit higher. But this time you're going to bring your feet wide, framing your bolster, and you're going to sit. Your bum is still kind of on the floor, just like you did in the beginning of your practice. Sacrum is going to start to rest onto your bolster. The knees will ground, so make sure that the knees can ground. If you can, you might even be sitting here for your practice today. If you can, then start to recline back. Relax here. So the heels are closer outside of your hips. Maybe you're even sitting on them. It's a variation, but just to make sure there's no pain in the knees. So the bolsters are going to help you begin to take away the pressure from the knees and begin to move it and spread it throughout the body so you can be supported. So pausing here, you should feel it on the front side of your legs, your hip flexors. For those of you who want a little bit more, then you would just bring the blocks out from underneath you and be more parallel to the floor. And just pausing here, let's just stay. Can you stay? Awareness into your breath, tips of the shoulders again, once again. Get heavy, broadening your collarbones. Release any tension in the belly. And breathe into the heart space. And feel body begin to open up a little bit more. Feel like you have access to all parts of your lungs. You can breathe a little bit more freely. It's always remaining an observer. Don't worry about the things going on in the body or the mind. This practice of holding and staying just strengthens our ability to be present, even when there's sensations going on in the body. Notice the activity even in our inaction. Use your breath. Take your time. Hands along the sides of the body. Slowly chin towards your chest and come back up. Sit to one side, releasing one of the legs one at a time. Relax. We're going to come back into our final position. So once again, laying back. Side, maybe your feet are wide and you turn your palms out. Just stay. Notice any changes in the body, or even in the quality of your breath. I'm going to leave you in your final resting position. Feel free to stay as long as you'd like. Let's take 3 breaths here to conclude our practice together. Exhale completely. Inhale through the toes, up the legs to the center of your chest. Exhale it back out through the toes. Second one is through your fingertips. Inhale through your fingertips to the heart. Fill. And breathe it back out through your fingertips. Last one. Through the pores of the skin, inhale, fill the body with light. Hold there for a moment. Let that light get stronger, brighter, and then exhale it back up through the pores. And let the body go. Take a moment to bow in gratitude of your body that does the amazing things that it does. And I thank you for taking the time to practice. I'll see you in class.